is Mary Salvani. First, I would like to thank you on behalf of the organizers of this summit for being here. I am from Calgary, and I am your co-MC for the third summit in our series.
And I'm the other MC, Heath Burkles from Edmonton. We would like to begin the summit with a land acknowledgement from Amy Park. Amy?
Yeah, sorry. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on treaty land. We acknowledge all of the many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries.
Thank you.
To begin with, we want to make this meeting as accessible for everyone as possible. We ask you to shut off your videos and mute your audio when you aren't speaking, so it is easier for the other attending to see the ASL interpreter and hear who is speaking. To do this, move your mouse so that the pointer or your finger, if you are on a tablet or phone, is on the bottom of the screen. A row of pictures and words will appear. On the left side of the toolbar is a symbol that looks like a video camera, as well as a microphone.
Click on the video camera with your mouse. On a tablet or phone, touch the video camera icon. This shuts off your video and shows a red line across the video camera. Do the same thing for the microphone icon to turn off or mute the sound from your location. When you need to speak, you can click on or touch the microphone icon again to be heard. If you have any problems doing these things, our moderators can help turn your video and audio on and off for you. If you're calling into the meeting by phone, press *6 to turn your audio on and off. This helps make sure we can hear the MC and presenters better.
If you have any difficulties with our instructions, please message one of our moderators. You can do this by going to the toolbar on the bottom of the screen to click on Chat. The chat space will appear on the right side of your screen. On the bottom, there is a space where you can type your question. The moderator will see it and will try to help you out.
We are joined by ASL interpreter Deb Russell from FLIC for those who need ASL for the summit. If you need ASL, please look for the ASL interpreter Deb Russell on the participants list. To see the participants list, put your mouse pointer on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen and touch or click on participants. The names of participants will appear just above the chat box.
To make sure the ASL interpreter is always on your screen, put your mouse pointer on the upper right corner of the picture of Deb Russell. You will have a blue box with 3 dots. Click on it and then click on the word pin. Once you have pinned to Deb Russell, you can always see the interpreter on your screen.
The summit will also be closed captioned and recorded. If you do not want to be on the recording, make sure you turn off your video, as we will be sharing this recording on the AACT YouTube channel. We have a closed captioner from KLM who has provided a link to activate the live closed captioning. We sent out closed captioning link with the Zoom link for this meeting. The link to the closed captioning is also located in the chat.
If we could ask everyone to open the participants list in the toolbar on the bottom of the screen, then please raise your virtual hand to say you know the meeting is being recorded. To do this, click your mouse pointer or touch the blue hand that says raise hand under the participants list on the right side of the screen. If you are calling on a phone, please press *9 on your telephone to raise your hand.
This will also be a way to let the host and moderator know you have something to say, and we will add your name to the speakers list.
And if I could get the host to clear the hands so that we can get started.
Thank you, everyone. As today's summit is on healthy relationships, online and in person, we have the honor to have amazing speakers from around Alberta who will teach us some things about how we can have a healthy relationship online and in person. First of all, we have Heath Burko and Brooke Leafso who are from the Right to Love in Edmonton. To ask them questions, click on the blue hand under the participants list and we can call on you.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Angie.
Okay.
All right. Brooke. So Brooke and I are going to be presenting a workshop, also entitled Right to Love. Just to give to give a brief introduction, I have an educational background from the University of Calgary. I identify as he, him. And from my education, I have been involved in several communities, include inclusive theater, and as a writer, and as a member of it, and as an artist. Brooke?
My name is Brooke and I live in Edmonton. I have a background in working with art and activism in disability community, and I do that in a variety of ways. And one is Heath and I have worked together to devise a very simple conversation for you today. I also, I work in experience disability. I'm in a juggernaut, if you will.
Absolutely. So the first thing that we're going to go into is just making sure that to let you know what some of our ground rules and boundaries are. So to start off, what we talk about here, again, it's going to be somewhat different because some of this stuff will be recorded. But if you want to be keeping things private and communicate with us, we do want to respect your privacy.
I am curious about accessibility and using the chat form. And I'm sorry, I haven't been part of your summits before, but I'm wondering if it's possible to turn on the chat for everyone so that we can use it as a way of communicating. I'm noticing right now that I can only chat with the hosts and the moderators. Is that by design? I just thought I'd check in.
I think that
Yeah, it is, Brooke.
Okay. So we do ask, right now, Heath and I have proposed just a small amount of time with some questions. And with that, we ask that there's no interrupting when another person is speaking. However, if you need a break, please let us know that you're going to grab a break. And the first question we have for folks is, what do you need from yourself and others to be fully engaged in the conversation? And I guess this will have to be verbal, but you could also chat and let one of whoever you feel comfortable with the Ask Me the Questions co-host.
and you can use the hand raising option that I suggested before, or send a message through the chat board to one of the moderators to let them know.
So the first question we have is,
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a second? See this see who's talking right now with the world? Ask me your questions in the chat or raise your hand and I will contact you. Okay?
So yeah, send the questions to Ask Me the Questions.
So our first question, just to get started, is, and is a good example of consent and boundaries and barriers. What do you need from yourself and others to be engaged in the conversation? Does anyone need anything specific? Okay.
Nobody has raised their hand yet to me.
Okay. Heath, what are some things that...
Yeah. Kristen Bolduc has her hand raised.
Okay.
Heath, we have a slight problem. Somebody is concerned, somebody who is hard of hearing is concerned because they cannot hear you in book.
Oh.
Okay. Are they able to connect through the captioner?
I'm not even sure who this person is because there's no name by it. But they sent me a message privately. So whoever sent me that message, can you connect with Carol Captioner on the participants list and just send her a private message, please?
And it looks like Mary can't raise her hand.
Okay.
Mary is a co-host, so no.
Mary, is there something you'd like to add to the conversation about what you need from yourself or others to be engaged?
Not really. I just realized I couldn't raise my hand. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
For the person that's hard of hearing, if captioning isn't working, would one of the moderators or hosts be willing to caption for us? I've done it before, but I'm unable to message everyone, so.
Perhaps they can let us know if there's further issues. Hopefully our moderators can deal with our issues for now.
Great.
So
yes, I've discovered who the person was, and we are figuring out the issue.
Okay.
Fantastic. Awesome.
So as we begin to explore the concept of healthy relationships and boundaries and barriers and consent, I would love for people to turn their camera on and give us a word, a sound, or a gesture. And this can also be typed in the chat for the Ask Me the Questions of just so a word, a sound, whatever that is for you, that relates to healthy relationships. I'll give you a moment to think about it, and then maybe Heath, you can give an example.
Sure.
We'll just give people a moment to think.
Mm-hmm.
So this can be a word, a sound, a gesture, so a movement with your body, or something that's typed in the chat.
So we'll wait another 30 seconds. All right, so I am going to start with a movement. And my movement is really simple. It's just going to be, although it's, and is anybody else able to offer a word or a body symbol?
I got a sign.
Nice.
The I love you sign in sign language.
Oh, and I can see Kristen is sending one as well. And
I have two hands up. David Gillo was first, and then Keely and Anna.
Awesome.
So I'm going to unmute David to ask his question.
Okay, say hello. Hello. We're trying to, we can't start our video because it says host has disabled it. What's the echo?
That's because Jeannie has hers on.
Yeah.
And if you have more than one on, make sure that only one has the audio on.
Okay.
You have to turn Jean's
So
audio
this
on.
one.
That's what's creating the feedback.
Yeah.
So David's issue, is the host able to enable video for David?
Hey, Roger. Okay, there's
Well,
no, way better.
Hey.
That's David.
Hi, David.
hello, David.
Hi.
How to turn it down.
So we saw some of the gestures was this. There was another person who had a question.
You want to give a gesture, David?
Oh, there's your gesture. Do it again, David. Here's David's gesture.
Ah,
Thank you.
She got you.
thank you.
And Keely had raised her hand.
Sure. What's the question?
I think it was showing her gesture.
Oh, awesome.
Keely, can you show your camera? Hello,
Oh,
Keely?
I can see Keely's camera.
Okay.
Okay. It's just that she's on mute, I think. Anyway, we probably should start moving into the next area because we have a time constraint.
Yes. Would you like to start on the definitions, Heath?
So definitions. So I'll go with the first one. So a lot of what we're going to end up talking about today will have to do with areas around, especially on areas around engaging relationships, whether online or in person, about consent, barriers, and boundaries. So our first definition is, what is consent? And the way that we're going to be referring it to is the act of asking to do something, whether it is eating pizza or more. And asking and answering is essential. Consent is mutual. So both people need to be agreeing to the activity. This agreeing can be verbal or nonverbal, such as nodding your head. Silence is not consent, and the only consent you can control is your own consent. Do you want to go into the next one, Brooke?
Maybe just to improv a second, does anyone have any questions about this definition of consent?
Good point, Brooke.
Sorry, really, if I can just interrupt really quickly, I just want to let people know, in case you're confused about the AFL interpreter, right now we have Aaron Burrell, who is the AFL interpreter, not Deb Russell. So please just be aware of that. Thank you.
Thanks. So does the way that I defined consent make sense?
Are you consenting to our definition of consent?
That as well. I've got a couple of nods. Awesome. And there are no questions about it? All right, looks like we can move on.
So the second definition that Heath and I, and this is something unique I've worked with Heath on, is the idea of barriers. Or maybe, Heath, I'm going to define boundaries first, because I feel like that's...
Okay, I'll do barriers last and you can do boundaries instead. Yeah.
So barriers are what you put in place in your relationships that make you feel good and safe. And it's also what others put in place to feel good and safe. This is something you discover for yourself. And knowing this idea of what your boundaries are, so what feels good and safe or not something at all that you want, is much easier to say than to do. So you're always in a space of figuring out what's good for you. It's a personal place to explore, and it's creating a system for yourself to know what's best. So with our pizza example, I may not really like pizza, and I know I don't like pizza, so I don't want to go for pizza with Heath.
Yeah.
So it's a boundary. It's something I've decided that allows me to engage well with Heath. And the example of pizza is a silly one, but it could be for anything.
Yeah. We just really wanted pizza when we were writing this.
I had just made pizza.
Oh. So the third one that I was going to go into is something that I have presented about before, which is about barriers. And so to explain that, it is something that it is in the way but can be moved. So it's an area where you can negotiate or talk about so that your consent matches. So for example, it's figuring out where to go for pizza once you have decided to go. If I live far away and I'm quarantining, then the barrier is having the pizza in person. We can then work together to figure out the best steps for both of us. Like both of us ordering pizzas in our own homes and having it over Zoom. So that way we could still kind of do the date thing, but we don't have that, like, I don't have to be spreading anything through being in quarantine. This is a moment of exploring how both people can do something together, but making sure that where our consents might have been different, we can find a common ground.
And the difference between boundaries too, just to amplify what Heath is saying. So if I just say no pizza, I don't like pizza, I don't want pizza, Heath would not keep asking me if I want pizza. He might suggest, what would you suggest instead, Heath, if I said I don't like pizza?
If you said you didn't like pizza, I would say, is there another type of food that we can do takeout with? Or that we can go and have? Or do you want to do something other than going out for food?
So I would say, let's go for a walk instead.
And I'd be like, that's fantastic. Let's go and do that instead.
So boundary is something that is a hard thing, whereas a barrier is something that is soft between two people to navigate. So we've agreed that we want to spend time together. The barrier is figuring out how, and there's negotiable and non-negotiable.
The quick way that I would say it, even though it isn't an exact way of being able to say it, is that a consent is when you're both saying yes. And a boundary is where one side could end up saying no, or both sides could end up saying no. And then a barrier would be an area where there could actually be talking about it. Like, that might not be something possible, but is there another thing that we can do? So that's it. So it's opening the communication.
So we wanted to spend the rest of our short time together asking you to share stories of two things. And I've asked the host to kind of note this in the chat so you can read our questions as well. One is a time when you set boundaries and it worked well. And one is a time when you navigated a barrier with a loved one and it worked well. So it's us sharing success stories of when we said, like our conversation with Heath, I would say that went well. And it was something that we did online, and it's something that made us both feel good.
So everybody, if you have a question, can you try to raise your hand virtually? And I will get to it. If you're unable to raise your hand on the computer, if you can start your video and raise your hand that way. that'll help me find you and have you ask a question. So the first question is, what is the time that you set boundaries and it worked well?
And just recognizing that we do have a time constraint for about the next 4 minutes.
I don't see anybody here who has a question unless they'd like to ask it in the chat.
And this can be online as well. So maybe you were chatting with someone and you arrange a time for a video chat and you both arranged for the right time. Maybe you agreed to talk at all. You matched on a dating site or something.
Oh, we have 2 questions.
Yes.
Came up at the same time. Shauna would be first.
Oh, hi.
Go ahead, Shauna.
Hi,
And
thank
then
you.
Jean is after Shauna.
Hi. I guess boundaries through the internet, but it was just more of a Facebook thing where someone was incredibly rude and it wasn't appropriate, so I just blocked them. I don't know if
That's a great example.
like I don't need the drama, so
yeah,
you know, don't need that person in my life any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
that's a great example of boundaries online, is to block people. Thank you, Shauna.
Yeah.
Our second raised hand is Jean Tshahaya, Tschaja.
Hello,
John.
Hello, we can't turn our video on.
Okay.
It says host.
The moderator should be able to help you out.
Yeah, give us a minute. We are working on that. Thank you.
Okay. We got it. There you're there.
Do you have any questions, Jean?
Jean.
Sorry, Jean.
Hi. I want to know, you guys, if you ever played a solitary game on iPad. The card games.
Yeah, I played the solitaire on that.
He's asking, have you ever used boundaries?
When you're online gaming, have you ever used boundaries?
Is that like on one of the social gaming sites?
No.
Okay.
No.
Jean, do you have to,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, Brooke?
I was just going to say, Jean, you had some feedback going on. I'm wondering if you have 2 devices that are set up and if you can mute one of them.
We're getting in that.
Let's mute yours.
Please, can someone unmute Angie? She wants to talk.
Angie should be able to
the other
unmute.
tablet is muted. Okay. We have 2 tablets in the room, and so we muted the other one.
So, Angie, if you go to the bottom left of your screen to where it shows a microphone, you can press it to turn it on, which will get rid of the red line on the mute.
Oh, she said she did, and she got muted again.
We muted the second microphone.
Okay, it looks like, oh, she had it off.
Yeah.
I don't are you on a network of computers?
No, we just have 2 clients, each one with a Fire tablet.
That's with you and Dave, right?
Yes.
Okay, if you or Dave could mute one of them, and that should have no bearing on Angie. And I've asked her to unmute a few times. Angie, can you see that I've asked you to unmute?
Yeah, David has muted his.
Perfect. Does Jean still have a question?
Did you have another question?
Well, I don't know if I should even, but yeah, but with the boundary thing in relationships,
Yeah.
I actually am presently dealing, I need advice with this one. I am presently dealing with the kind of guy I want to date is either A, the same age as me, B, a little bit older, C, that has the same belief as I do. And yes, I met somebody online. I introduced them to my roommates. I'm going to introduce them to my pastor at my church next. But I have another guy friend that I don't want to sound mean or he's part of LGBTQ. I have nothing against LGBTQ people. I have several friends and they are sweethearts. My heart breaks for them from what happened in their lives. But this guy wants to be with me and I'm old enough to be his mom. I am 41. And he's, oh, I wish you could break up with Kelly and be with me and that. And he is very controlling. And I have been in a relationship that was abusive and controlling. And it's actually bringing up very bad memories right now, what Dalton is doing.
Angie, I'm going to go ahead and mute you so that Brooke and Heath can maybe talk a little bit about that, okay?
And I'm actually really scared about what's going to happen because nothing but bad relationships until this one.
Let me mute you so they can answer you.
Do you prefer to go first, Brooke, or should I?
You can go first, Heath.
Angie, I can understand the issue that you're going through, and I think it's wonderful that you have met somebody that is very special to you and you're special to them. And I think that it's, and using examples of what we were talking about earlier, is that it sounds like with the first person, it looks like you went through a lot of like finding out what each other's barriers are and working those into consent, and that's amazing. So first I want to say wonderful, great job with that. With the other person, again, as we were kind of addressing earlier, that person is pushing your boundaries, and that, again, like we were using as the example with the pizza and whatnot, is that if it's something that you don't want to participate in and they're trying to press you on that, that is breaking it, that is them trying to break a boundary, and you should not need to make space for that because they do not have your consent.
And you may need to enlist some support in that, whether you have friends or someone who can help you if this person isn't listening to you at all. Just as a point, Heath, how much more time do we have? I feel like
we're actually we're over time.
Okay.
And Heath, can I ask one more question? A quick one.
Sorry, Angie, we're already over time. We've got to move on.
But if you can send your question to one of our moderators, perhaps we can address it later.
Yeah, Angie, if you want to write it in the group chat, I'll send it to Heath.
Thank you, Angie. And thank you, everyone.
All right. Another question, which I sent to you.
Oh, we've run out of time. We need to go into the video.
Oh, okay.
If there's further questions, send them to me and I will try to address them later.
Okay.
And I apologize to anybody that I wasn't able to go further into their questions right now, but I will try to address them after we're done here. And thank you again.
Thank you, Heath and Brooke. We will now watch a short film called Lost Love Found. We ask Lloyd Thornhill to introduce his film.
Yeah, I hear online. This is live right here and then online, and I think you're gonna like my film. It's a pretty good film about what right to love is all about. Yeah, and thank you for watching my film. Hello.
Hey Lloyd, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Are you willing to talk to me about relationships and love?
Yeah.
How did you meet your girlfriend?
Oh, I will meet my girlfriend Jeannie. I meet her in Kimberley. And we went with a group, like a disabled group. And I meet her there. We used to go boating together.
What happened to her?
What happened to Jeannie? She had an accident, a bus accident. I lost contact with her for about 4 years. And she was gone for a long while. And I found my sister working in nursing home, and she found her in nursing home.
Was your worker able to help you find her?
I didn't know the workers could help me find Jenny.
What was it like to find her?
Oh, it was great. I found her. I went to Kimberley and saw her in the nursing home. It's great.
And what happened after?
And it was great. And after she was in nursing home for a while, she had a leg amputated. Took enough like in the nursing home.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And then just before Christmas, she passed away, and I feel pretty bad over that. So thank you very much for asking me about my girlfriend. It was great. Thank you. And goodbye.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I just put the link to all the films, including Lloyd's film, in the chat. We know that we can't answer everyone's questions in just 1 hour, so we want to tell you about places to go to find out more. First, we will hear from Serena Dixon, who is from Center for Sexuality in Calgary.
Hi everyone, my name is Serena. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an educator at the Center for Sexuality, teaching about healthy sexuality and healthy relationships. So I'm really excited to be here and be able to join your conversation and your workshop today. So as Mary mentioned, I just want to let you know a little bit about the Center for Sexuality and how we might be able to offer support for people who are looking for it around healthy relationships and healthy sexuality. So we are located in Calgary, and we're a nonprofit organization, which means that all of our services are free, which helps people be able to access us. We do deliver different types of programs and services with the goal of normalizing sexuality. So making people feel like everyone is a sexual being, it's part of everyone's life across the whole lifespan, whatever that means to them. So everyone looks different in their sexuality, but everyone does have one. We focus on 3 main areas: healthy relationships, healthy bodies, and healthy communities. And we do that in 3 ways: we teach, we train, and we advocate. All of those words basically mean that we believe every person has a right to love, to intimacy, has the right to explore their sexuality, to make their own choices about their relationships, and the right to access like accurate sexual health information. So how do we do that? And what are some things that are available to you? We do have free counseling and individual education sessions. So right now, because of COVID, most of that is happening online, which a cool thing about that is it means that even if you don't live in Calgary, we can still meet with people online over a platform like Zoom, how we're using right now, or over the phone. So what people can do is they can go on our website and fill out an intake form, either by themselves or with the help of someone else, and just let us know a little bit about what you need. If that's counseling support, we'll match you with a counselor. And if it's just information, then we'll match you with an educator. And then we can spend kind of as much or as little time as needed, from about 1 session to 6 sessions, talking about whatever that is you need support with. So for some people, that's like, how do I find someone to date? And what does a healthy relationship look like? How do I know if my relationship is unhealthy? What do I do if I'm in an unhealthy relationship? How do I meet new friends? Or maybe it's stuff around sexuality, like how do I have safe sex? How do I talk to my partner and practice really good consent skills? Maybe I want to practice and learn more tools for making decisions that respect my own boundaries and help me learn about my boundaries. Those are all things that have been mentioned today that we can spend more time in a one-on-one setting, helping people get kind of building new skills, answering questions, all of those things. We also offer workshops in the community, so similar to kind of how we're online today. For example, at organizations with either the staff and support workers to make sure that they know how to best support people with disabilities, to respect their rights around sexuality and relationships. And then we also do workshops with youth and adults about all of these topics in a group setting as well. So if you're part of a community or an organization or a program where you think you might want to have our workshops about these topics, and we could spend a lot more time going into a lot more detail and building new skills, having cool conversations, you can book us for that as well. And then I guess the other thing I want to briefly touch on, and I think Right to Love is going to speak after from the Calgary location, but really all of our work really needs a big kind of shout out and gratitude and thank you to the Right to Love group, because they have really supported the Center for Sexuality through a partnership and collaboration to help us understand how to support, help us understand what the needs are. And even as recently as 2019, they helped us redesign our curriculum. So in the summer, we had a disability specialist that came in and hosted a discussion group, asked questions like, what is something you want to know about sex and relationships? If you were going to have a workshop, what topics would you want covered? What types of things about relationships would be helpful for us to work on and teach about? And how would we want people to feel if they took our workshops? And so they did such a wonderful job of helping us build our workshops so that hopefully they are what people need and are looking for. And if they're not, we're always open to kind of going in the direction of whatever our participants need to feel supported in their relationships and sexuality. Yeah, so we've got a lot of support from Right to Love, and even just learning about kind of the common things that are coming up in the community as, I guess, a different way to use the word barriers, but things like people needing help around how do I advocate for my right to privacy? How do I advocate for people to respect that I'm a sexual being, that I want to have a boyfriend or girlfriend or a dating partner? And so we can have those conversations too, whether online, over email, over the phone, even if you're not in one of our workshops. Yeah, so I don't want to take up too much time. I know the time is a little bit of a limited resource right now, but if there are any questions, you're welcome to ask me right now, or also reach out over our website, and we'll be happy to get back to you within a couple of days as well. Thank you, everyone. I see a hand from Keely and Anna, maybe.
Keely, do you have the ability?
Yes. Hi. I have a small question. how advanced are your courses?
Can you just tell me a little bit about what you mean by advanced?
I mean, I'm a very high functioning kind of person, and I wouldn't want to take a course and feel like I'm being dumbed down.
Right.
You know, and taking something that is not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are courses that are for like maybe slow learners or people with severe brain injuries or people with disabilities that they need a little help. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't want to. I don't know how to put it. I apologize.
No, I think that's a really good question.
I wouldn't want to take a course that I would feel like I was a step ahead of the course material. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, and thank you for your question. I think there's kind of two things I would like to say in response, which are that every session or group we run is adapted to the level of the participants. And so what that means is that we talk ahead of time about the group and kind of what level they're at, what they want to learn, what they already know, to make sure that we're not kind of missing the mark on where people are at. So we do our best to adapt to that. That's not a good experience for everyone. We do want people to be learning new things and having those new experiences. The other piece of that is that we can also have those individual sessions really tailored to what people are hoping to learn. So a group session is always about kind of making sure everyone can be included in the accessibility, which can be difficult if there's quite mixed levels in one group. But yeah, we do our best to adapt, and then the individual is also the best way to meet exactly.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My apologies for kind of needing to step in here, Serena, but I am recognizing we are running out of time. But I will encourage anybody, if you have further questions or you want to get to know more about the Center for Sexuality from Calgary, I think we put the link. Yeah, we did put the link onto the chat. And and thank you again, Serena.
Thank you.
So next we have Lloyd Thornhill, Mary Salvani, and Colleen Houston from Calgary's Right to Love group.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm with the Disability Action Now on the Right to Love. And so we were, as Serena mentioned, we were really glad to work with the Calgary Center for Sexuality. We've been working with them since 2010, and Lloyd has made that film, and we were happy to share that funding with people across the province. So you might, if there's time allowed, there might be even a video to see from another region. So Mary and Lloyd, do you have anything to add before Lethbridge goes?
No, this is Lloyd there, and I think it's a good film, and I think anyone can make a film, you know, with disability. It's good if they could do films. Because I think there's an excitement, you could do a film about sexuality and about your girlfriend. I think it's great, you know, to show the people what I mean about as your girlfriend with disability, or perhaps have your right, but it's good. I think people with disabilities should be allowed a relationship. I think it's great. So thank you very much. And thank you for showing me the movie. That was a good film. Thank you.
And
I'm
Mary?
just going to mention in the chat, I provided the link to all 14 little video clips from the Right to Love group if anyone wants to watch that. And yeah.
Yay. All right, and last we have Keely Blackwood and Anna Olson from Lethbridge Right to Love.
Hey, hi, I'm Keely Blackwood, and I
just wanted to say that we were talking about, like in our groups, we were talking about the meetings that we have. We pardon me. We used to get together what was it, once a month, thank you. And but now we do it online, and it's working out pretty well, and we talk about a lot of variety of things, and just like what the Calgary group was talking about, we talk about whatever anyone brings up, and it stays between us, and you know, just whatever everybody wants to talk about is I guess that's it.
Okay. And I'm just going to add something quickly. This is Anna here. Sorry you can't see me, but we have to distance in my office space to make sure that Keely and I can be in the same room together. And so I just wanted to add that I do help support the Right to Love group, Lethbridge, and we do it virtually now, which has actually opened up opportunity for people from across the South to join, which they do. So that has been a really cool thing that has happened. And then the other thing that I just wanted to quickly let you know about is SEPA offers a healthy relationship and sexuality workshop as well, that we are currently offering right now. So you wouldn't be able to get in, but we do offer that quite regularly. It's one of our most popular workshops, and we've had advocates as well as support staff, and sometimes we've actually had guardians take the workshop with us, and it talks about things like consent, healthy relationships, how to stand up for yourself, those boundary things that Heath and I can't remember the other lady's name were talking about earlier. Yeah, and so I just wanted to let you guys know about that opportunity. So, and that's all I really have to say, Heath. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. That concludes our afternoon. We want to thank you for joining us, and thank you again our interpreters and captioners, as well as the organizers of this summit session, as well as our grant from the FCSS Calgary, which paid for the summit series. Mary?
We would also like to
Okay,
remind
bye-bye.
We'd also like to remind you that you can watch the recording of this and the previous summits on the AACT YouTube channel or the AACT website at www.albertaact.com. We also invite you to join in our next summit, which will be on COVID-19 safe and inclusive relaunch. It comes up next Monday on November 23, 2020 at 1 p.m. There is an Eventbrite link on our website and Facebook page for your friends to register. You will also receive an email to the Zoom link because you came to the session today.
The event is an opportunity to discuss the things that you need in order to feel safe going back into the community during COVID-19. Goodbye for now.
I would just like to interrupt you really quick and just say that the summit is actually called COVID Safety and Community Access. Really, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.